Hi viewers, welcome back to our channel. In this video we will again look into another common Java interview question that will be commonly asked for entry level experienced people. Okay, so the question is how to print elements of a 2D array without using nested loops. For example, if we take any nested 2D array, right, that if we represent it in two-dimensional in notepad, like we can represent like this 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay, so this is a common view of any 2D array. So if we want to declare it in Java code, we need to declare like this if we want to declare it directly. Okay, we'll first take one curly brace, and inside that we will use curly braces to represent each array. So 1 2 3 I have represented as 1 2 3 in a single array, and a 4 5 6 in another array, and 7 8 9 in another array as sub arrays. Okay, so to print this elements, right, like this, so the basic answer that we can give is using nested loop. Okay, in Java, right, any nested array, if we take this, right, so array will be put inside another array. Okay, we have one outer array that starts here and ends here. Okay, and inside that we have three sub arrays. Each array is one row inside this 2D array. Okay, so 1 2 3 is one row, and 4 5 6 another row, and 7 8 9 is another row. Okay, so this is how the array can be declared in 2D in Java. Okay, if we want to declare it in more meaningful way, so to view it properly, right, we can do like this also. This is also valid. So how we can print these elements in the same form like this in the console output. Okay, so how we can do that? To print this, right, so in arrays, right, the index will start with 0, and inside that we have multiple arrays, right. For each array the index will start again 0. So the position of 1 is 0 comma 0, and the position of 2 is inside the 0th array first position. Okay, and third index is 0 comma 2, which is like in the first array whose index is 0, and inside that it is third element, so its index is 0, its index is 2. Okay, so the position of 1 is 0 comma 0, and 2 is 0 comma 1, and 3 is 0 comma 2. Like that, if we come to the next array, the position of 4 is 1 comma 0, and position of 5 is 1 comma 1, and position of 6 is 1 comma 2. Like that, the indexing will goes in 2D array. Okay, so to print this array, right, what we can do is we can just use two loops, and we can just print it. Okay, to write that code, right, simply. So for int I equals to 0, I less than arr dot length. Okay, so I'm iterating through each and every sub array, so till the outer array has 3 inside arrays. So this I will run from 0 to 2, less than the index will be like starting from 1, and it goes till length minus 1, right. So that's why less than array dot length. Okay, I plus plus I have given. Now inside another loop I'm starting into j equals to 0, j less than arr of I dot length, which means for each and every sub array we have to go through till its length. Means if arri represents that so if I value is 0, then it will comes to the first sub array. Okay, in that sub array I'm taking arr of 0 dot length. Like for example, if we clearly represented, it will be like arr of 0 dot length, which means 3 again. So this j also will run from 0 to 2. If I have one more variable here, one more value here, like some 0 is there, so then the length of 0th array inside this inside the main array will become 4, until 0 to 3 it will run. Okay, for now we do not have that, we'll just take till 3 only. Okay, now system dot out dot print ln. Ln is not required, we need in single row, each row in a single row, right? So ARR of the element of each subarray can be accessed using double braces. Okay, ARR of I comma j. So if I keep ARR of I comma j means here inside 0th array jth element. Okay, inside this if the value of I becomes 0 and value of j becomes 0, then it will print 1. So in next iteration j value becomes 1, then it will goes to second position here in this subarray. Like that it goes on in continuous. So after each iteration, right, inside this loop it will print one row for each I value. Okay, so after one row it is printed, we need one line. Okay, system dot out dot println we will give. So this will print one new line. Okay, if I run this code, right, so it prints the array in 2D format onto the console. Okay, but if we take the complexity of this code, it becomes O of n square, which means we have used nested loops, right? So the complexity will become like for each loop, right? If we take any complexity of single loop, it runs for n times, right? So its complexity becomes n, O of n. But if there is one more loop that runs for again n times inside this outer loop, then it becomes, the complexity becomes O of n square. So normally this complexity should not be there in any program. So how we can print without using nested loops? Okay, I'll comment this code here. Now I'll take some variables to print this 2D array without using any nested loop. Okay, I and j are required because we need to print both rows and columns. So I am taking two variables I and j for representing the indexes. Okay, next I will take one for loop. Okay, this is an infinite for loop that runs till we break the loop. Okay, so first we need to as we have defined one infinite loop, we need to define a break condition for this. Okay, so what should be the break condition? So the break condition is, if we go through each and every subarray, if we while traversing, right, if we come to the first array here, and then second array here, and it will we will print, and then third array here, and we will print that. So if we keep on printing all the three arrays we are done, then it should break. So in that case, right, in here, right, in the similar fashion we have used nested loop. So we will take I for rows and j for inside arrays. Okay, columns. So if the I becomes till the value of this subarray main array length, then it should break. So for that, what should be the condition? I should if I becomes greater than length means outer array length, like if it has three subarrays, right? So the I value should run from 0 to 2 only. So if it becomes 3, it should break. So that break condition I have given. And next what I will write is, I will just print each element ARR of I comma j. As I have already explained, each element can be used by double indexing system using 2D array. Okay, so here I am printing each and every element. The next condition should be incrementing the values of I and j. So how we should increment the values? Okay, now I will increment j value, so that every time inside this inside the subarray, it will go to each and every element. Okay, now so here we do not have any nested loop. So how we should know that when to increase I value? Okay, so after jth index j becomes the length of subarray, if it comes till last element of each subarray, right, then we should increment I value and reset the j value to 0. So if it comes like if I is equals 0 and j runs from 0, 1, 2 means, which means that it prints 1, 2, 3 elements. So the next one is I should become 1. So it has to come to the next array, next sub array, and j value should be reset to 0 so that it can traverse from first element to last element. Okay. For that we need to write condition. So what should be that condition? If j value becomes error of I dot length minus 1, which means if the j value started from 0 and it has reached to the index of last element, then what should be the case? I value should be increased. So I value should goes to the next subarray. Okay. And also the j value should become 0. So the value of j should be reset to 0. Again, after printing each element, right, we should print one new line each row. Okay. If we finished printing one row, right, it should print a line so that we can get some form like this. Okay. And then, so this is like a complete logic that I have written. Let's see how it goes. Okay. People might think that I'm not printing at all because there is no change in output here, right? So I'll just print one statement here, or else I'll give one comma here so that you know whether we can get to know whether it is printing the values or not. Let me execute. Okay. Here if you see, there is something wrong. Okay. Maybe due to this value we are incrementing before that. Println I have given here, it should not be there. Okay. Still it is becoming so I think this value should become length minus 1. Let me re-execute. Okay. So now I have got the 2D array with using single loop only. Okay. Even this logic whatever I have written, this will not work. This will work for even uneven 2D array also. If I put one more element here, right? So this is not 3 by 3 because here I have incremented one value. Still this logic works. Okay. So in interviews, right, like they will expect the logic that should be used for any kind of input that we give, like it should work for any generic input. So now we have got this correct output. So this is how we can print 2D array without using nested loops, but we can just use single loop and we can print it in proper way. Okay. So that's it for this video, guys. I'll come up with one more interesting video in my next vlog. Till then, bye. Please like, share, comment if you have any new questions that you have come across in your interview questions, so that I can research on that and I can put the solution on my YouTube channel, and also I'll give the Git link in the description of this video.